Hey everyone, so today's video is actually going to be on roaming and specifically out of mid lane, but again, these principles of roaming can be extended out to every single role. First of all, I'm going to go through a clip where I play Fizz, and I'm going to show a few examples of what makes a good roam, my thought process while going for one of these roams, and why it is considered good, and why they were successful, and how you can replicate these in your games. And then I'm going to go over a second clip where I play Kiana, and the game situation wasn't as good, and the roams were a lot more desperate, and I would actually consider them bad roams. So you can kind of see the difference and break down my thought process along the way. Let's get right into it. So the first clip I have here, I want to show you, is this is a perfect example of what I would say the perfect situation for a roam. So generally when you're in mid, the best situation for a roam is when you're able to slow build a wave like this. This specific wave situation comes up when the enemy has pushed you all the way into tower. The wave has reset. It's hit the tower. It's actually, and then your next wave has come, and then it's going to start to slow build out. And that's where you can start to slowly hit the minion wave and create a very big minion wave like this. But again, this can happen in a lot of ways. You can create a slow build when you have just control over your laner, because I already have a kill in this game, so I have a bit of control over my lane. So I end up having this luxury to have this specific lane setup where I'm slow building a wave. And again, I'm trading my HP here, knowing that I have corrupting pots, just so I can create this large push, shove the waves at the same time, and look to impact the map. But in this specific scenario, I actually don't wasn't able to get a roam off purely because support was basing. There was no kill threat for me to go bot, and again, it's way too early in the game. It's only 4 minutes 50, and I barely have any items. But the reason I want to show you that clip again, because it was a perfect example of what I'm going to show you in the next clip, so you kind of have that background understanding. So let's get right into it. First clip, first clip again. So I'm gonna play it out just from here. So again, it's pretty much a very similar wave situation. Obviously, it's not as big, but again, so right now I'm thinking, okay, Vladimir has to respond to my wave. So that's the first condition you have to meet. You have to be able to shove in the wave. Your minion wave can't already be in mid, and this time between your next wave coming and him having to respond to this wave is where you can look for a roam. So I looked to the sides, and I already know that Malphite, while I was getting wave, I was already thinking, which side would I look to roam once I get this wave in? I already knew that Malphite was basing, and it looks like there's a lot of action going on bot, and especially because it was actually a Galio center bot lane. And yes, this was a high elo ranked game as well, so it was a bit weird. So I decided to lean onto the side where I think action will happen, and I think there's genuine kill threat because Leona actually has a lot of kill threat. I mean gank setup, sorry. So I start walking, and again, my second tip here is actually not every single time you move to a side or move into river is there going to be a gank opportunity. A lot of the time, or roam opportunity, sorry. A lot of the time, you're going to make your way down, and you might get halfway and be like, you know what? I don't think I should go here. But again, it's a good habit to get into, especially when you're playing these roaming mid laners. Go halfway into the river or duck into vision, assess, and then if not, go back to mid. Otherwise, continue on roaming. So I roam down the river here, and fortunately enough, there mustn't have been any wards, and they chose to fight as I was already roaming, and I get a kill for my team. Great, really solid roam. Again, let's see it again in another example. Next. Very similar situation. I've all in him and also like not all in with everything. I've just kind of used my QE just so I can A get my E on top of the whole wave and shove it in, and then also um put pressure on him, because if I just sit back and relax, I'm not going to be able to get the wave in. That's what the way you kind of have to play melee assassins. But that I'll get into that in another video. Again, the wave's pushing in. I'm going to lean to the side where I think there's more kill threat. And also this is my third tip for roaming. You genuinely want to roam to the side where you already have roamed, because that means they're most likely snowballing and you want to continue that snowball. You never want to roam to the side that's losing, because there's very little kill threat or gank setup. And I already knew Jack's reset topside, so I knew there was no reason for me to go topside at this moment. So again, I make my way, and I actually felt like there was kill threat because I saw Senna like below half HP here. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go for it. And again, Vlad is just still responding my wave mid. So I kind of mess up here a little bit, but I end up killing center on the back end here with my ultimate. And then I duck around and Q out. Just a solid normal gank. And again, actually one tip here. If you're versing a mid laner that has TP, that is also another factor that you have to consider when you go for a roam. Because if they TP while you're going for one of these roams, it can get a little bit sketchy. But unfortunate enough, most mid laners, I mean, especially in low elo, don't take TP. They'll just take Ignite. So you can probably get away with doing a lot more roams, especially when they have Ignite. So um, in this specific circumstance, Vlad has Ignite, so I feel free to do these pretty crazy roams. And again, it was the same concepts. Slow build a wave or push out a wave mid. A slow build if you can, if not, push it out. And obviously Fizz is one of those champions that can actually roam to sides pretty quickly. So that also helps with the, I guess, the creativity and the amount of options you're going to have with roaming. But obviously this applies to all mid laners as well, all different champions, whether it's mages like Orianna and Syndra, or whether you got champions like Zed and Fizz. So now I want to show you an example of a time in the game where you, someone may watching me ask, why don't you go for a roam? You've ticked most of the boxes, but why don't you go this time? So this was actually just before I tried to all in Vlad. I used my ultimate and I used my ignite and flash. So um, if you think about the checklist I've talking about before, I've gotten the wave in. Vlad's gonna or someone's gonna Vlad's gonna have to respond to this wave. I've got resources. I've got corrupting pots ticking. Bot looks like they're setting up for a kill. Why don't I go bot? So for me in this situation, I know that I had enough gold or something to go back for my proto belt, but also the main reason is that I don't have ignite, flash, or ult. So my kill threat is dramatically reduced. So when I go for roams personally, I want to ensure that when I go, I'm going to be able to get a kill. And I didn't feel confident, even if I thought the chances of me being able to get a kill here on a roam was really low. And I actually didn't know where Tali was at this moment. So it just would have been like this weird 3v4 and basically a 3v3 because I'm nearly useless without any of my summoners and ultimate. So I thought this was a really good opportunity instead of roaming to just reset. And you can use this same checklist when you go for your own roams and deciding whether or not you want to roam. And now, lastly, within this VOD, I want to show you a different type of roam, and this is what I call a out of base roam. So the conditions you need to meet for this sort of roam is, okay, we just traded kills in mid. I was dead, Vlad was dead, but Vlad just died after me because he died to my jungler. So I'm thinking, okay, I don't need to go mid. Look at the mid wave. It's just crashing into tower. There's nothing for me to respond to. So what can I do? If I don't need to go mid, why don't I just go roam straight out of base? So again, I'm looking at both sides. I see Jax pushing out top, and I don't see much kill threat for me going bot because they've already pushed all the way in. So again, this is another thing you have to consider when going for the roams. Where in the lane are they positioned? If bot lane was all the way up here under tower, then maybe I probably would have went for a bot roam. But again, Jax is pushed out. It feels like, and Malphite has ultimate, so I felt like it was a decent opportunity for me to go for, potentially a snag a little kill on top lane. And Jax ends up popping his head around here. I pop the blast cone, and then we end up killing Jax here. And this is again all off the same checklist: wave, kill threat of my teammate and their kit, my summoners, and do I have ultimate? Do I have these type of things? And where's my jungler? This type of stuff. All the same checklist. And it's when you're in base, you can still think about the same things. And I was thinking about this when I was dead, actually, which is again a tip that I actually gave in another video. So what we're gonna do now is, so if you noticed, all these roams were pretty easy because I was able to get the shovel in mid, and I had teammates that were able to follow up and create opportunities for me. So what I want to do is go for a second VOD where I was playing Kiana, and the game was a lot more difficult, and I would say the roams were very desperate, and I would actually say objectively the roams weren't that good. So let's dive right into that so we can make a direct comparison. All right, so now we're into the Kiana game. So I've got a few examples here and so you can see how different these quality of roams are and why they're not good. and what you can do to avoid them. So in this situation, actually, this one's not too bad, but it's just a different type of roam that I think you should be aware of and kind of understand why it's not the best. So here, I'm actually coming out of base, and again, remember what I say, I'm always scanning the map. And I actually notice that bot looks like they're going to get dived. So what I do, instead of going mid and pushing the wave, I actually decide to respawn bot and counter gank. So this is good and bad at the same time. It's bad because again, I'm not pushing up mid, and so Diana, my counterpart's probably just going to be able to shove mid and deny me a lot of CS here, and maybe a whole wave. But again, if I'm able to pick up a kill on the back end, um, it cannot be too bad, and I end up having to flash and I get a kill. Whether or not the flash was good or the kill was good or worth it, it's that's not what I'm talking about. The main point here is that this is not really considered an efficient roam, really. I mean, here I was fortunate enough that Dinah wasn't here yet, so he kind of didn't deny me too much. But again, this is what I call like a reactive roam. And notice how this is very different to the quality of roam that I had last game, where I was pushing and then moving. So the enemy didn't really have much counterplay. So yeah, this is the first type of suboptimal roam. So now you've got this sort of roam. So the game was getting pretty sketchy. Again, I'm doing these desperate roams where I'm losing CS, but I'll show you again. And then I remember, all right, Diana's roaming bot. I remember thinking this. I'm like, okay, what do I do? My bot's most likely gonna die here. I can't even really kill Renekton. I think this is really hard. And I just don't want to sit mid. I felt like it was just a really awkward situation. So I end up deciding to roam. The only reason I tried to do this again is because I just thought my bot was inting, and I'm like, okay, Carly has to carry this game. So look at how inefficient this roam is. Yes, we get a kill, but no one. I mean, I haven't shoved out mid. Um, they've already made the play, so this is kind of a reactive roam, given that Diana was way faster than me. And now I'm stuck and have to do this. It takes so long for us to kill this Renekton. I'm fast forwarding it just to show you, but it takes so long, and it takes so long that they actually pretty much Diana gets like all these plates, end up getting this kill, but I don't get to shove at mid, and that means Diana gets to mid way before me, which means he can actually, if I fast forward a little bit to show you what I mean, um, the Diana gets to mid right, like way before me, and he gets to shove, and that means he could roam or do anything, get vision, and or so many things. So, again, my roam wasn't efficient in terms of timing. It was desperate. It wasn't even 100% roam. And again, it was just a roam in response. It was reactive in terms of what they're doing. So the main two differences of roaming that I found in my games were when I was proactive, when I was setting up, pushing in the wave, setting up the kills. And then the second time, the roams where I don't think are as good is when you're not being able to shove out the wave, or you're literally missing CS under your tower, making a sacrifice of minions in your lane to go help another lane. And they're just straight up reactive. You're not the one setting the pace of the game. So again, um, take a look through this video, then look at your replays to see, kind of compare your roams to see, if the fundamentals stack up. And hopefully this really helps out and helps level up your roams in your games. Keep tuned and I'll keep pumping out videos. Thanks for watching.